Hey everyone, we're just excited to do this Zoom tonight. We wanted to talk a little bit about maintenance and what that looks like. We actually like to call it the optimal health phase because maintenance is just kind of staying the same. We want to keep progressing in our health. But for this Zoom, we'll call it maintenance just because that everyone understands what that means. But basically, whether you're at your goal or close to your goal or just starting your journey, this is just a fun way to kind of see what lies ahead, what eating is going to look like for the rest of your life. So I'm just going to share my screen. My name is Liz Jensen, Global Director with Take Shape for Life. We also have Jess Hermanson on here. She has some of her clients, and so we're just excited to get to share this with you. Once we get through these slides, we'll open it up for questions. So if you have any questions regarding maintenance, let's see, I might have closed it. All right, bear with me just a second. You know what, Jess, while I find these slides, do you want to introduce yourself? Okay, here they are. Yeah, introduce yourself really quick so everyone can see who you are.
Okay, I'm Jessica Hermanson, and my husband and I have lost over 90 pounds together on this program, and I've loved not having migraines anymore, not being exhausted. I sleep better. We both sleep better. We both had a little bit of sleep apnea, and we feel 15 years younger, so it's really been a fantastic program for us.
And Jess, you've been in maintenance for a couple months now, right?
Yeah, and it's actually really enjoyable. I've loved adding a little bit of fruit back in and not having to be so careful, but I learned a lot while I was, in the weight loss phase. So it's taught me some good healthy habits that I'm passing on to my family, and I love that.
For sure. One thing that I love about this is it's kind of like a budget. If you think of like your budget, if you're in debt, anyone that listens to Dave Ramsey, he says that if you want to get out of debt, you kind of have to cut back. Kind of like rice and beans, not going on vacation, not going to the movies. That's kind of like the 5 in 1. We're cutting back. We're really getting rid of that debt that we have to our body, that excess weight that's really going to cause us trouble. And so the 5 in 1 is pretty strict, but it works amazing. And it's really about retraining your habits and getting into good habits for the rest of your life. Once you transition and are in that optimal health phase, you can enjoy things here and there, just like a budget. You can go on vacation, you can go out to eat, but it's not, you're not going to start spending frivolously again, once you get out of debt. Same thing with your health. We still want to be careful, but you're going to have some leeway there. So we're going to talk a little bit about what that looks like. All right, so number 1 is, what are your health goals? Are you doing this program just to lose some weight and then you feel like you're going to cross the finish line and be done? If that's your mindset, we really got to work on that, because just like an athlete that trains for a marathon doesn't cross that finish line of the marathon and never exercise again and think that they're going to be able to continuously run marathons. They have to keep training. Same with your health. Once you get to your goal weight, you're not done. You got to keep living the healthy habits. There's no program or diet out there that will keep your weight off if you're not keeping up with your good habits. And so my challenge for you is just continue to set goals. Once you get to your goal weight, have your next goal already in mind. It might be adding exercise. It might be learning to cook healthier for your family. It might be really working on getting enough sleep, or working on your healthy mind by adding personal development things. So just kind of think of what your next goal is that you really want to focus on. And always have a goal in mind. Always let yourself reach that goal and celebrate that, but then have the next goal in mind. And so you really want to focus on your why. We don't want to make it just about a number on the scale. And that's what's fun, is when you can prove to yourself that you can reach a goal, and then you can keep setting those goals and keep reaching those in your life. So one thing about the 5 in 1, or whatever program you're on right now in this weight loss phase, is those habits that you're getting into on the program. Right now, we're really focusing on eating within an hour of waking up, eating every 3 hours, and having the right protein carb balance, and drinking your water. Those are a few of the really big secrets of keeping your weight off. And so that's why we're really focusing on that right now during this phase, so that you can continue to do these things for the rest of your life. So we still want to eat right when we wake up. Once you get to your goal weight, you still want to eat every 3 hours. We're going to talk about what kind of things you'd be eating. And you definitely still want to keep up with your habit of drinking water, along with all the other habits that we practice, like getting enough sleep, practicing, having a healthy mind, relaxation and stress management tips. All those things that we're doing right now, we want to continue to work on throughout the rest of our lives. So when we talk about eating every 3 hours, that's really important. It's not just about losing weight. That's not just, for this phase, but it's for the rest of our lives. So just to go over this study that was done that kind of proves why that's important. They did this study that they had 2 groups of people. Each of them ate the exact same amount of food, but one group ate every 3 hours, and one group ate just 3 times a day. And they ate the exact same foods, but the group that ate smaller meals, their blood sugar was actually much more level. They were less hungry. They lost more weight. They reduced their cholesterol, and their blood sugar stayed stable to help with their insulin release. So there's really a magic in doing that. It's kind of like a fire. If you're going camping, you're not just going to throw big logs on the fire. You're going to give it that small kindling to keep it going so that it burns brightly. Same with the metabolism. Let's see. The next thing is, one thing I love is just this 9-inch plate. This is kind of will be the plan for the rest of your life. Just eating on a smaller plate, getting used to smaller portions. Right now you're practicing that, eating smaller portions. But I never want you to have to stress about counting every calorie, keeping tracks of macros, your points, or, anything like that. It's just all about creating a balance in your life. That's really what this program is about, is creating balance, not just with our health, but with our life. And so this example of the 9-inch plate, that's a great habit to get into with your whole family. My kids actually eat off of like these small plates, and that really helps with their portion control. And so same with adults. Using those smaller plates, that's a great idea. Even the paper plates, those are a little bit smaller. Or if you have big plates, just making sure that your food never goes up on the rim. It just stays in that middle part. But I actually bought these 9-inch plates that I eat my dinner off of, and it tricks your mind to feel like you're eating more when your plate's full like that. And I bought blue ones because blue makes you eat less, and so I bought these 9-inch blue plates, and I love using those. But whenever you fill your plate, when you're in this optimal health phase or maintenance phase, you'll eat 3 meals a day, and then you'll have 3 healthy snacks, like 100-calorie snacks. And so with each meal, you want to fill half your plate with vegetables and a little bit of fruit, preferably vegetables most often, and then a quarter of your plate with a healthy protein, and a quarter of your plate with a healthy carb, or that could be a whole grain piece of toast. It could be a little bit of brown rice, a small portion of pasta. But really, I recommend not doing that every meal, not feeling like you have to have a starch every meal. I like to keep it lean and green most of the time so that occasionally I can enjoy a dessert or something and not feel guilty about it. So you just kind of think about what your favorite carbs are and save that, for those special times. Don't feel like you always have to have a carb on your plate. And so if you go to like a barbecue or a restaurant where they have a salad bar or something, take your plate and just walk around and kind of check it out first. See what you'd want to put on your plate before you start loading it up, because you want to fill half of it with vegetables, a quarter with protein, a quarter with a healthy carb. So for example, if you know that you're going to have dessert, so let's say you're, at a birthday party and they're going to have this cake that looks delicious and you'd love a small slice, then you'd probably leave out that starch on your plate for the meal if you're going to be eating that dessert. And just count that as your carb for that meal. Same, for example, let's say you make cookies. And once you get your weight off, you can enjoy little things like that. It's not going to be every day, all day, but let's say you make cookies. I know before I did the program, if I ever made cookies, I thought I had to eat like 8 cookies because I wasn't going to eat anymore. And so this program really taught me how to think about that. So let's say I make cookies and it's not time for my fueling break. Every 3 hours we call it a fueling break. So maybe I have an hour left till it's time for me to eat. So I'm going to say, I'm going to have that cookie as my starch, my carb for that 3-hour snack. I'm going to have a string cheese or some healthy protein with it. And I'm not going to feel bad about that cookie. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to have some protein. That's going to help me feel satisfied faster. I'm not going to be as hungry. If I want another cookie, maybe I'll have one in 3 hours, or maybe I won't have one at all. Maybe I'll choose something healthier. But that's really about becoming more mindful and having a good relationship with food. So you don't have to feel bad about enjoying something, because you've learned the right portion and the right combination. And so that's just a great way to look at things that we know aren't great for us, but we all love, and that's okay once you get the weight off, to enjoy those occasionally, as long as you have more optimal days than not, And so I love just that mindset of it. All right, so what are we going to be eating once we get the weight off? So here's a list of just healthy things. You could print this off and put it on your fridge, but it's kind of like elementary school when you have to connect the lines. But on this one, there's no wrong answer. You choose a protein from the list and a healthy carb from the list every 3 hours. So it might be you have a piece of whole grain toast and an egg for breakfast, or it might be some Greek yogurt with some berries. It might be some cottage cheese with some pears. It might be beans with some brown rice. So especially whenever you go to a restaurant, let's say you go to Cafe Rio and you're getting a salad, if you just got your tortilla, your rice, that's all really high carb. That's going to spike your blood sugar. That's going to make your body store fat. You want to make sure you add protein. So black beans, some chicken, that's going to help balance that out so that your blood sugar stays more stable and your body's not triggering it to store fat. Because anytime your body has to release insulin, it's going to store that fat the next time you eat. So this is really a great way to learn how to balance that blood sugar. And then, of course, portion control is a huge thing. Just learning to continue to eat smaller portions. And on this list, meal replacements, portion control meal replacements, that's there on the bottom. And honestly, my clients that use meal replacements for snacks when they're in maintenance keep their weight off much better, because you always have a healthy option with you. You can stick those bars in your purse. I'm 5 years into the program, and I still eat meal replacements every day. I have them right next to my desk. When I get hungry and I don't have time to go fix myself a healthy snack, I can grab a bar. If I'm craving something sweet, I can grab, make a shake or a bar, and it just really helps keep me on track. So don't feel like once you get to your goal that you never should eat those, because they're great healthy snacks. They're going to save you money from having to go to the drive-through, but just to know that you're always going to have something healthy available for those 3-hour snacks is a great idea. Or, for example, if you know you're going out to eat at night, you don't want to skip meals during the day to save up calories for a meal. So let's say you're going to Cheesecake Factory. There's not lots of things there that's healthy. So you know that you're probably going to be eating something that's pretty high calorie. And so you don't want to starve all day, but maybe you'd eat more meal replacements during the day because they're healthy 100-calorie snacks throughout the day. And then you can enjoy that meal and feel good about it. Or you can do 100-calorie protein carb balance snacks throughout the day and then enjoy that meal that you're going to have at night. So that's an easy way to be able to do that also. All right. We talked a little bit about glycemic index, and that's kind of a foreign word for a lot of people. Most people think that's just for diabetics, but really that's the secret to keeping your weight off, keeping your body from storing fat. And so here on this chart, this is a glycemic index chart, and this is in your book that comes with the program also. You can actually download an app on your phone, just search glycemic index, and it will have like lots of food. You can see what the glycemic index number is on your favorite foods. And so most of the time you want to stay in the green. That's lower glycemic. That's not going to spike your blood sugar. The red for sure is like your body reads that as almost straight sugar. The orange is kind of in between. So most of the time you want to stay in the green because that's what's going to help keep your blood sugar balanced. So for most of that, and you can see like all of the vegetables that we eat on the program, they're all in the very low glycemic index, 15 or less, most of them. And so also how you prepare your food makes a difference. For example, carrots, raw carrots, your body reads it as 30. 100 would be pure sugar. So raw carrots, it's pretty low glycemic. Cooked carrots, on the other hand, is 80. That's pretty much, your body reads that as almost pure sugar. And so same with smoothies. When you blend things up, it breaks down the cellular compound, and your body doesn't have to work to break that down. And it's liquid, so it goes right into your bloodstream and spikes your blood sugar. So not to say that smoothies are bad, but to get all of your fruits and vegetables in the form of a smoothie wouldn't be the best idea. It's good to make your body break those foods down. You burn more calories. A lot of times, just how your body absorbs things changes when you blend them up. So if you do make smoothies, it's good to add some kind of protein in there, like Greek yogurt or protein powder, just to help balance that blood sugar a little bit more, because your body, if it's just fruits and a little bit of vegetables, then your body's going to read that as, drinking something very sugary because it's broken down so much. Let's see. So do we have any questions about this so far?
Liz, where did you say you find this information later on?
So this chart will be in your book that came with the program, Dr. A's Habits of Health, or Discover Your Optimal Health book is this chart. You can Google glycemic index chart on your phone. You can get an app, just search in your app store, glycemic index, and they have apps that just have like tons of foods and it tells you what number. So a number of 100 would be pure sugar, and the lower numbers are not as much sugar. So, zucchini, spinach, those kind of things are very low sugar. Whereas, let's see, like watermelon is 76. We all know that that's, a lot of sugar. So not to say that any of these foods are bad for you, especially on this chart. These are all like healthy foods. But something that's in the orange or the red, you for sure would want to have a protein with it. Or even like in the middle range, apple, oranges, nectarines, watermelon, you'd want to make sure that you had like a string cheese or some cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, some kind of protein to help bring that number down a little bit, because a low number with a high number kind of balances each other out. And so.
Okay. And what about that list of proteins and carbs that you had? Is that in the book too? Like on a slide before this?
That's not in the book, but that's in our Client Simple System link.
Okay.
We can have just tag you in that.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing.
Just
even start teaching your kids now. If you have kids or husband, start teaching them what a protein is, what a carb is. If you see your kid, even if it's like potato chips, your husband's sitting there eating potato chips, and say, honey, those are all carbs. Let's get you a protein. Do you want a string cheese with that? Just like getting them used to knowing what a protein and a carb is. And so, for example, goldfish. My kids like goldfish crackers, but they know that they need to have a protein with it. So a lot of times if I, have goldfish crackers, they'll say, can I have a string cheese? Or, I want some turkey breast with it. The more you teach them, they catch on really quickly, and they know like what protein is if you start teaching them young. And that's going to help you to remember to always do that if you've been teaching your family or your friends about that also. So good
I'm
question.
going to my charger, but I can still hear you while I'm running. Okay.
All right. So for long-term success, make sure that you're checking in with your coach once a month, even a quick text. If you're doing great, just send them a text. Keeping up with my healthy habits, my weight staying off, doing great. If you gain 3 pounds back, give your coach a call. Just go over your habits, what you're eating, maybe see what you could change. And that is really helpful. Take advantage of that support. Also, taking advantage of like the support calls that we have every week. There's a Habits of Health call that teach a healthy habit lesson every week. And then, and it's just kind of keeps your head in the game, learning more about your health. So you're always welcome to participate in those. I think probably the very best thing you could do, and this is why I became a health coach, is paying it forward, helping somebody else get healthy. Because if you're helping someone else move forward, you can't go backwards yourself. And so that's really why I became a health coach, is I knew that I would be accountable if I was a health coach. You go to a party and you think, oh, I'm a health coach, I got to be a good example. Or if you're helping someone else get healthy, it just really helps you keep track of your health, and you're always learning more. And we have the most amazing health community. Just getting to associate with some amazing health coaches, I learned so much from them, and just being, surrounded by those good people are really going to help you keep your weight off. So if there's someone in your life that you've been thinking you'd like to share this with, or have already asked you what you're doing, talk to your health coach about paying it forward and helping them get healthy, just to keep yourself motivated and moving forward also. And then also, if you catch yourself thinking, I can't wait till I'm done with this so I can eat that, or I can't wait till I'm done with this diet, if you kind of see an end once you get to your weight, that's a yo-yo cycle mentality. So kind of catch yourself and find those things that you're enjoying. You know, if you find yourself enjoying a lean and green meal, you know, telling yourself, I love eating healthy, I feel great. And just start thinking about what's next, you know, because like we talked about, there's not a finish line. You always want to be working on what's next. This isn't a diet. A diet's something that, you know, you're changing your food for a short time, and then you're also, you know, usually going back to old habits. So that's why transition is really important, because once you get to your goal, we want to slowly build up your metabolism, get your body burning carbs really efficiently. But I think more than that, it's a mental thing. As you're adding each food group in, you're learning how to eat that food, like fruit, what good combinations of protein, you know, like cottage cheese with pears, you know, string cheese and an apple, an orange with a handful of almonds, you know, so you're learning kind of what combinations of carbs and proteins you enjoy. So, and it really kind of baby steps you back into making all those important choices yourself. And then always use your references, Dr. A's book, the client support calls, your coach, just to be learning, or if you have questions, just really become professional with your health, because this is what this part of the program is. You're just really becoming confident with your health and learning and doing. You know, you're proving that you can do hard things. So I think that's really helpful for long-term success, in addition to all those habits that we talked about that you want to keep up with. And so a lot of people have questions about like what a day might look like when they're, you know, in that optimal health phase. And so for example, most of the time you would be doing like three meals and 300 calorie snacks. And so a lot of times I find myself maybe doing eggs, or I try to get vegetables in before dinner, because before I did the program, the only time I ever had a vegetable was at dinner. And so trying to get vegetables in for lunch or breakfast, making an omelet, getting used to eating like some baby carrots or, you know, some kind of vegetable at lunchtime or breakfast is a great way to get more vegetables in. Also, trying to eat your fruits earlier in the day so that you keep your carbs lower at night. That's a great trick to keeping your weight off. Most nights I still eat lean and green just because I love how I feel when I eat healthy. And so, for example, tonight we made fajitas. I put mine on a bed of lettuce, and I love that. So for me, personally, I like this, you know, having a dessert or a treat every once in a while. But I've kind of gotten over the bread. Like I don't really crave bread anymore after doing the program, and so I don't eat it very much. So, but for you, if your favorite thing is bread, you know, that might be your carb that you have during the day, and maybe you don't have treats as much. And so kind of be really picky about what those carbs are that you eat, and still try to limit them because, you know, we want to fill up with all the really good for us foods. A couple other things is, let's see, so you do kind of protein carb balanced meals. So usually I like to make something extra at dinner so that I already have lunch ready the next day, because so often if we don't have something ready, we're just going to grab whatever's there. And so sometimes I'll make a whole pot of like just a healthy soup, and I'll just heat it up all week for lunch. Or like I said, make extra at dinner and heat it up the next day. Sometimes I just grab, you know, a fruit and a protein and have that for lunch, because I've become more of a snacker. I kind of snack throughout the day, and then I have a big kind of lean and green meal every night with my family, and enjoy a piece of fruit here and there throughout the day too. So basically it's more like 3 lean and green, a little bit smaller than probably you do right now. Maybe half of a lean and green for lunch, half for breakfast, and then a full lean and green for dinner, and then a 100-calorie snack like a piece of fruit and a protein or a meal replacement in between those meals to keep your blood sugar balanced between that. One other thing is, once you get through transition, I love my clients to use MyFitnessPal or a calorie tracker, just so that it can balance your, it really shows you how many proteins you're eating, how many carbs, how many calories. So we can kind of look at that and find a really good place for you. So for the month, once you get to your goal weight, I like you just to track that. You won't have to do that forever, but that just kind of gives you an idea about where you are with your foods. Also, just eating something until you're tired of it. So I usually have like 2 options. I give myself 2 options for breakfast. If I have time, I'll make an omelet or let's say berries and yogurt. So I'll do those two things until I'm tired of one of them, then I'll do something else. So not giving yourself too many options is really safe also. So if you kind of get in a routine that, every day in between lunch and dinner, you have an apple and a string cheese. So you kind of get in a routine. And then when that gets tiring, just switch it out for something else so that you kind of, it's just automatic. You don't have to think about it. At night, I always like to have either a shake or a brownie, one of the meal replacements, because it just makes me feel like I'm getting a dessert every day, and it keeps my blood sugar balanced before I go to bed. So it's just a healthy choice. So, so I think that's important. Let's see. Nancy, I think last time we did one of these calls, you asked about how many carbs and protein you should be doing during the day, right? I think.
Yeah. Sorry, I had just seen some material, and one was as food groups, like you need to have 2 proteins, 1 grain, 3, and versus just marrying a protein with your carbs. So which one's more important?
I think that just protein and carb every 3 hours is the most important and the easiest thing. Then how many fruits, how many vegetables, if you have a protein and a carb, and try to keep it like fruit and vegetables and low-fat dairy most of the time, and not feel like you're having like bread every 3 hours, like a healthier carb.
Yeah.
That's a really good balance. And that's why I like MyFitnessPal, because you can kind of see about how many calories your body needs without gaining weight. And on the link for transition that we'll post on here, when we post playback, it walks you through transition. It has the link where you go in and figure out how many calories you need to maintain the weight that you're at. And then so if you're tracking that at first, you can kind of see about where you are. And if you need to add anything, you'll kind of know like how many calories you need to add to stay about where you are. But if you wanted like a breakdown, for example, it's best to try to stay as balanced as you can. Right now on 5 and 1, it's like perfectly balanced between 80 and 100 carbs and 80 and 100 proteins per day. That's kind of hard to do in maintenance, just because if you're eating too many carbs, that carb number is going to be a lot higher than the protein. But a good rule of thumb is you take your lean body mass, and so for most women that's around 20%. And so let's say that you weighed 150 pounds. So you do 150 times 0.80, and that's about how many proteins your body needs per day, unless you're really trying to bulk up and build muscle. But on average, it's around 100 grams of protein, just like you're doing now for a woman. And then try to stay as close to 100 as you can on the carbs. That's really hard, if you're eating a lot of bread. So it's going to be a little bit higher generally, but trying to stay as close as you can to that is ideal. Those in-between fueling breaks, I like to add in at least 6 grams of protein per fueling break in between those meals, because that's like an egg or a string cheese or a small handful of almonds, a serving of cottage cheese. Those are all about 6 grams, but sometimes you can pack in some more protein, like with a Greek yogurt that has a little bit more, or if you're eating some leftover chicken or something that would have more protein. But try to get at least 6 grams of protein in between each meal. Oh, great. Well, that kind of sums up what the optimal health phase looks like. And hopefully that helps you just to kind of see what lies ahead. And it's just fun to know that nothing will be off limits, but you're really retraining your brain on how to be more mindful. Learning to chew your food slowly, learning to think about things before you eat them, learning to recognize those triggers so that you don't get stuck in that emotional eating cycle that, or the yo-yo cycle that we get stuck into. So that just kind of gives you an idea about what it looks like. Does anyone have any specific questions?
Yeah, maybe just briefly go through how you transition, what that looks like week to week, what foods do you add and why, and
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording on this, because this call was more about what maintenance looks like, and we'll attach, there's a video that walks you through transition step by step, and so that's really helpful, but I'll answer any questions that you have on. But I think number one, when you get to that maintenance phase, is just making sure that you monitor your weight. If you had kind of a day that you ate more than normal one day, cut back the next day. You like just really be setting daily goals. How can I do better today than I did yesterday? Or weekly goals. What am I really going to work on this week for my health? What maybe I didn't exercise very well last week, so I'll set some goals for that. Or maybe I didn't get enough sleep. So my goal for the week is that I'm going to get to bed, at a certain time and go through all those habits of learning to set a bedtime and all those things that we're learning right now. So make sure you continue to set goals and monitor yourself and check in with your health coach. And, just all those important habits that we're learning right now, eating every 3 hours, getting enough water, learning to balance your carbs and proteins, that's really what's going to keep that long-term success. And if you do have a hard time, maybe you go on a cruise or the holidays hit you a little bit hard and you gain 5 or 10 pounds. Don't feel like you can't do 5 and 1. Don't feel like you're a failure. 5 and 1 is a great tool. The meal replacements are a great tool to get that weight off. So anytime I go on a vacation, for example, I'll just usually do 5 and 1 for a week just to get back into those good habits, just because that really helps to retrain that brain. And a lot of times it's just, you get back into those good habits quickly because your brain remembers, while you're in this phase, and it kind of gets back into those good habits. So don't feel like you can't ever do that again once you get to your goal. It's a tool, and it's a great tool to get that weight off and get you back into those good habits. So, but if you ever feel like you're in that 5 and 1 cycle, that you're kind of always doing 5 and 1, then definitely reach out to your health coach and find kind of a good fit for you. But I just love the program and what it's done to help us teach those healthy habits so that we can continue being healthy, not just in this phase of getting the weight off, but we can, really enjoy our lives. So thanks for jumping on this call. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and, definitely reach out to your mentor coach if you have any questions.